All right, let's jump right into this explainer. So picture this scenario, right? It's 2:47 a.m. You've been lying in bed for what, over 3 hours now. You are absolutely bone-achingly exhausted. Your eyes are burning, your mind is racing, and you want sleep more than literally anything else in the world. So what do? You stay there. You stay completely still, staring up at the ceiling, waiting and hoping.
Because honestly, getting up just feels like giving up. It really feels like admitting defeat for the night. You kind of figure, hey, if I just lie here long enough, eventually my body has to surrender and drift off, right? It is literally the most logical feeling in the world. But here is the incredibly uncomfortable truth that nobody tells you about those 3 a.m. struggles. Every single minute you lie awake in that bed, you aren't waiting out your insomnia, you're actively training it.
And that brings us to the core mystery of this whole explainer. You know the drill. You flip your pillow, you try some deep breathing, check the clock, maybe doom scroll on your phone for 5 minutes, check the clock again, and suddenly, boom, 2 whole hours have completely vanished. Why is it that the harder you try to sleep, the further away it gets? Well, today we're going to unpack the fascinating neuroscience behind why this effort totally backfires, and we'll look at a highly specific behavioral protocol that sleep specialists use to completely break this cycle.
Let's use a quick analogy that brilliantly illustrates exactly what's going on here. Think about your couch for a second. When you finally collapse onto it after a super long day, what does your body immediately expect? Relaxation, for sure. Maybe some TV, definitely some snacks. Your nervous system has this deeply learned automatic physical response to that specific piece of furniture because of what you consistently do there. Now compare that to a dentist chair. Even if you're just going in for a routine cleaning and absolutely nothing painful is happening, your body probably tenses up the exact moment you sit down. Your heart rate might even tick up a bit. Why? Because your brain has strongly paired that chair with discomfort and anxiety.
So what's truly fascinating is how this exact concept applies to your bedroom. Your bed operates on the exact same principles as that couch or that dentist chair. Every single hour you spend in it wide awake, frustrated, staring at the digital clock, and just spiraling in your own thoughts, you are physically training your nervous system to treat your mattress like a dentist chair instead of a couch. Sleep researchers actually have a specific name for this phenomenon. They call it conditioned arousal. And if you want to know why a few bad nights of sleep can suddenly mutate into months or years of chronic insomnia, well, conditioned arousal is the absolute primary culprit.
Let's break down the neuroscience of sleeplessness and look at the 3 biological failures driving this.
Let's go a level deeper here, kind of like a scientific detective story, because understanding the actual mechanics is absolutely crucial for the ultimate fix to actually work. When you're lying awake in bed, there are 3 distinct biological failures happening simultaneously in your brain and body. The first one is called stimulus control breakdown. In healthy, normal sleepers, the bed is this incredibly strong single-purpose cue. Bed equals sleep, full stop. The brain is powerfully paired that soft, dark environment with drowsiness, melatonin release, and your parasympathetic nervous system just shutting things down. But when you spend hours awake in that bed, whether you're working on your laptop, stressing about tomorrow's presentation, scrolling social media, or even just thinking really hard, the bed suddenly becomes a cue for absolutely everything. It triggers vigilance. It triggers problem solving. It triggers emotional processing. That clear signal gets completely diluted until it simply stops working.
Okay, the second failure is what we call sleep drive dilution. See, throughout your waking day, your body builds up this thing called sleep pressure. It's a biological drive heavily driven by a chemical called adenosine that steadily accumulates in your brain while you're awake. Sleep pressure is that heavy, irresistible weight that actually makes you fall asleep and stay asleep. But here's the huge catch. Sleep pressure is completely finite.
Let's put this into a real-world scenario to see how it plays out. Say you have enough sleep pressure built up for about 6 hours of sleep, and you spend exactly 6 hours in bed. That pressure is highly concentrated. You get solid, deep, unbroken sleep. But if you spend 10 hours lying in bed, just desperately trying to capture those exact same 6 hours, you are spreading that finite biological pressure across way too much time. The result? You get light, super fragmented, broken sleep. This right here is exactly why you can spend 10 hours in bed and still wake up feeling totally exhausted. You've literally diluted your own sleep drive.
And then we have the third failure. And honestly, this is the big one: hyperarousal. The exact second you start thinking, oh man, I really need to sleep, I have that massive meeting tomorrow, why won't my brain just shut off, this is the 3rd night this week, your sympathetic nervous system aggressively kicks in.
Your cortisol levels spike. Your heart rate literally climbs. Your core body temperature shifts in the exact wrong direction. Basically, you've just pushed yourself into a low-grade fight-or-flight state. And you're doing this inside a bed at 3 a.m. It makes sleep not just difficult, but biologically impossible.
And here is the truly cruel part of this whole cycle. This hyperarousal, it becomes entirely Pavlovian. Brain imaging studies have actually shown that chronic insomnia patients have elevated brain activation the literal second they walk into their bedroom. This happens before they've even taken off their shoes or tried to sleep. The room itself, the walls, the bed sheets, they become the trigger. So when you decide to just tough it out and lie there hour after hour hoping sleep will magically come, you are reinforcing the exact neurological pattern that is keeping you awake.
Which leads us directly to the solution, the bed reset protocol, and how we're going to rewire your sleep. So how on earth do we stop this cycle? Let's shift away from the agitation and focus squarely on the solution. What we're looking at is based on cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, or CBT-I. And just to be clear, this isn't some fringe internet hack. This is the rigorous protocol that the American College of Physicians recommends as the absolute first-line treatment for chronic insomnia, ranking it even ahead of prescription sleeping pills. The crucial point is that this entire protocol rests on two incredibly strict, non-negotiable foundations. Principle 1, the bed is only for sleep. That's it. No phones, no laptops, no worrying, no lying awake planning out your day. If you aren't sleeping, you aren't in it. Principle 2, if you can't sleep, you get up. No exceptions.
This brings us to the practical application of those rules, which in clinical settings is often called the 20-minute rule. Now, I want to be super clear here, 20 is just a rough estimate. You should absolutely never look at a clock to check if 20 minutes have passed. Checking the clock just triggers that fight or flight hyperarousal we literally just talked about. Instead, just estimate it in your head. When it feels like it's been a little while, maybe 20 minutes or so, it's time to act.
So here are the exact steps of the bed reset protocol. Step 1. When you get into bed, if you don't fall asleep within that roughly estimated 20 minutes, you must get out of bed. Step 2. Leave the bedroom entirely. Go to another room where the lights are kept very dim. No bright overhead lights and absolutely no screens. No TV, no phone. You need to do something incredibly boring. Read a slow, dry textbook, fold some laundry, or just sit in a comfortable chair and literally do nothing. Then, step 3, and this is the most important one, you only return to bed when you feel genuinely sleepy. Notice I didn't say tired. Exhausted and tired just aren't enough. You have to wait for sleepy. Heavy eyelids, head physically nodding, that undeniable biological signal of sleep. If you get back in bed and another 20 minutes pass, you get up again. You repeat this as many times as it takes.
Now you have to pair this whole up and down process with one final unbreakable rule, a fixed wake time. You must wake up at the exact same time every single morning. Yes, even on weekends. Yes, even if you had a terrible night and only got 2 hours of sleep. This fixed wake time acts as a massive anchor for your circadian rhythm and forces your entire biological system to reset much, much faster.
All right, the research does give us a bit of tough love when it comes to the timeline. Days 1 through 3, they're going to feel absolutely brutal. You might be getting up and sitting in a dim room 4, 5, maybe 6 times a night. You will definitely get less total sleep than you were getting before, but that is part of the process. You have to stick with it, because by days 7 to 10, real biological shifts begin. Your sleep efficiency climbs. You're spending less total time in bed, but a much higher percentage of that time actually asleep. And by week 3, it's honestly life-changing. The bed actually starts cueing drowsiness again instead of dread, and that horrible anticipatory anxiety you usually feel at 9 p.m. completely fades away.
So why does this protocol consistently outperform sleeping pills in head-to-head clinical trials? It's because of the biological fix happening under the hood. By physically getting out of bed, you are forcefully breaking that conditioned association between your mattress and wakefulness. By staying up in a dim room, you're letting that adenosine continue to accumulate outside of the bed. When you finally do lie down, your sleep drive is so incredibly strong that it physically overrides the anxiety and hyperarousal. You're fixing the actual neurological mechanism driving your insomnia rather than just chemically masking the symptoms for a night.
So the next time you find yourself staring up at the ceiling, fighting the clock, just remember, you are not being patient, you are being conditioned. You have to get up to reset the mechanism. But, this leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. If your own bedroom has been secretly training you to stay awake all these years, what other environments in your life are silently programming your habits without you even realizing it?